Tell me. Well, speak up! Hmm? I'm your uncle. Your Uncle Ludwig. What is it? What ails you? Come on. Is this where you
A chance meeting with his brother Karl, now ill with tuberculosis, gave Beethoven the opportunity to claw back his family in the most extreme and desperate way.
I must speak plainly. The reason you are in trouble is that Johanna has none of the qualities that make a good wife. None. Don't worry. I will look after little Karl. But you must make me the sole guardian.
She's his mother.
Yes. And so she shall remain. But this document will give me certain rights, you see. To look after your interests, you, the father. The Van Beethovens. So, here, Karl. Read. Sign, Karl. Karl. That's right.
Much as I am convinced of the open-hearted disposition of my brother Ludwig van Beethoven, I desire that after my death he undertake the guardianship of my surviving minor son, Karl van Beethoven.
I do not know what drives a man to want to separate a child from his mother. I can only think that he wanted a family of his own, so mine was the obvious choice. Pushing my weakened husband, who, so close to death, could not stop him, was beyond worldly explanation.
Beethoven's behaviour seems incredible to us now, but he genuinely believed he was protecting his family from a woman who he saw as a completely unsuitable mother. And by a bizarre twist of fate, his belief in his own rectitude and his sense of his standing as an artist were about to receive the most colossal boost. His freedom opera, Leonora, was chosen to be performed before the crowned heads who were assembled for the Congress of Vienna, which redrew the map of Europe after Napoleon's downfall. Retitled Fidelio, some of the most dramatic changes to the work were in Florestan's aria. He places extra emphasis on the word Freiheit, or freedom, in an incredibly high-pitched conclusion that's almost impossible to sing at the very limits of a tenor's range, forcing him, like Florestan, into a state of exhaustion and physical breakdown. This time, the opera was a success. Its universal themes of triumph over adversity and hope over despair were embraced by audiences yearning for peace after the turmoil of the Napoleonic Wars. Professionally, Beethoven could do no wrong. Fidelio had made him the most sought-after composer in Europe, but privately his life was unravelling. His brother's illness and his worsening hearing were conspiring against him.
Welcome. Please, I remember the performance of the trio he had written for me. I was so looking forward to it. In certain passages, my dear friend pounded on the keys until the strings jangled. And in others he played so softly that whole groups of notes were omitted, so that the music became unintelligible.
Please sign this, Carl, for our son. Give me your hand.
It is a great misfortune for anyone to be deaf. But how shall a musician endure it without giving way to despair?
I have found it necessary to add to my will that I by no means desire that my son be taken away from his mother, but that he shall always remain with her, to which end the guardianship of him is to be exercised by her as well as my brother. God permit them to be harmonious for the sake of my child's welfare.
Humiliated, Beethoven never performed in public again.
This is the last wish of the dying husband and brother, Carl van Beethoven.
With his brother's death, Beethoven's incredibly productive and innovative heroic period was over. The next decade would be dominated by a bitter custody battle with Johanna for his nephew Carl, and a slow and agonizing descent into near total deafness. But once again, he would find a triumphantly defiant musical response by composing works so radical that even to our sophisticated and knowing ears, they still have the power to amaze.
And you can hear the whole of the Piano Concerto No. 4 as it would have sounded at its premiere, with Beethoven uncovered on BBC 4 now.